Hi everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video as I'm going to take you through my entire eyeshadow palette collection. I went through all my makeup drawers and I pulled out every single eyeshadow palette I could find. So these should be all my eyeshadow palettes. Years ago, I would want as many eyeshadow palettes as possible. I was looking at all of these eyeshadow collection videos from YouTubers and I was like, I want that many eyeshadow palettes, but let me tell you, it's not realistic. It's going to overwhelm you, and it is just much better to keep like a curated collection of palettes that you actually are going to use. So if you are an eyeshadow lover like myself, then this is definitely your video. I'm going to tell you which ones of these are worth the price. We're going to get started right now. I am filming this in the evening and the sun is changing a lot, so I hope that's not too distracting, but I'm going to start off with these two Pat McGrath motherships that I have right here. These are the two like big mothership palettes. First one I have is this one, and this is Utopian Dream, and I wanted to show this packaging because how pretty are the Pat McGrath like palettes. I know they're very expensive and I'm not going to say you should spend 130 euros on them because while they are special, I don't think they're that special, and I feel like I'm sort of in the minority on this. I know a lot of people here on YouTube just love Pat McGrath, and while I do love the shadows and I think you can create beautiful looks with them, I don't think they're worth 130 euros. I don't think any eyeshadow palette is worth 130 euros. I'm not sure on the exact price, but I thought it was something like that. But I did actually get both of these on sale, and I think I only ended up paying like 67 euros each or something like that, so that's definitely a much better price. But I'm actually going to start off by showing you the Utopian Dream palette, which is this one right here. So the Pat McGrath palettes do come in very luxurious packaging. At the front it's just this glossy back, and then the back is just a really pretty gold. They feel really heavy as well, so they definitely feel very luxurious. So when we take a look at Utopian Dream, this is what it looks like, and in the reflection of the mirror you can kind of see those duochromes, and the shades right here are called Blitz Astral, and I think these are what makes Pat McGrath eyeshadows just more expensive because these are really special. I'm just going to swatch this one right now. They kind of have like a different texture to them than you would normally see in eyeshadow palettes, but when you swatch that, look how beautiful that is. That is definitely a gorgeous duochrome. I hope that is focusing right there. I can also swatch this shade for you because it's really pretty as well. It's this like really stunning purple metallic. So if you like metallic eyeshadows like this, then you would enjoy these Pat McGrath palettes. I just think they're super pricey. And here is what Moonlit Seduction looks like. As you can see, this is much more well loved than the Utopian Dream palette. I didn't get the Utopian Dream too long ago, and I haven't really used it, I think, more than 1 or 2 times, whereas this one I've definitely used a bit more. As you can see, it's really stunning. I do love the mattes in here as well. They're both, all 3 of the mattes are quite deep, so keep that in mind, but the shimmers are absolutely stunning. If you are looking for a nice Pat McGrath mothership palette, I truly believe this one won't disappoint. And the sun came back for you guys to see how pretty these are. Like, look at this. I know I just said they're not worth full price, which I still think, but they are very special, and even if they are like 70 euros, I think it's still a great deal. So that's basically my thoughts on the Pat McGrath. I'm just going to put this to the side because I actually have one more Pat McGrath palette, and this is the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton palette, and I'm not entirely sure if this is still available. I will try to link the palettes down below that are still available in case you want to pick up any of these, but this came out for the Bridgerton show, and this one has a super pretty color story. I did not get this for the Bridgerton because, believe it or not, I've actually never watched Bridgerton. I got this because I saw so many people loving this and I thought it looked so gorgeous. That is that shade right there, and I'm not entirely sure if you can really see the duochrome, but it's absolutely stunning. And if you can still get your hands on this one, then I would recommend it because it is one of my favorites for my collection. So that is the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton palette. Let's take a look at this Essentials palette from Vive. This is my favorite matte eyeshadow palette. I truly think this formula is so good and very underrated. I know in the UK, Vive is a bit more popular than in the US, so if you haven't tried Vive, I definitely think these shadows won't disappoint. I did a review video on this last year, and I thought the mattes are really some of the easiest ones that I've personally ever tried. They blend super easy, even on my hooded eyes, but this is really nice. The only it's not a complaint, but the only thing I would change about this palette personally are the shimmers. They swatch nice, but on the lid, they're just not as nice as some of my other palettes. But as you can see by the like dips in all of these shades, this is still a very well loved palette, and it's just one of my favorites in my collection. So I definitely think this one is worth your money. Then I have this one from Tarte, and I don't think this is still available anymore. This is the Tartelette Full Bloom eyeshadow palette, and I'm so glad I picked this up because if you didn't know, Tarte has one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I know not everyone is a big fan of them, but I just really love how easy they are to use. This is a massive palette, you guys. I'm not really a big fan of big palettes like this, but this palette, something about the color story and the shades is just super, super pretty, and you can truly do so many looks with this. I'm saying all of this, but it's not even available anymore, so I think we shouldn't talk about this one for too long, but it's definitely one that I am going to keep in my collection because it is truly stunning. Then for another option that is still available from Tarte, I have the Tartelette Juicy eyeshadow palette, and this one I actually still really like as well. As you can see, this is very well loved too. This was in my project pan for a while. I tried to hit pan on one of the shades, but it ended up being super difficult actually, which I did not expect. There was so much product in here, but the shades are absolutely stunning. I love the color story. Let's now take a look at all the 5 Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow quads I still have in my collection. If you didn't know, I used to have so many more Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow quads, but like I said in the intro, I've just come to a point where if I'm not using anything, I'm not going to keep it just to have it in my collection. I think that is just a bit of a waste. So personally, I've only kept the ones that I really enjoyed using, I thought were more unique in my collection. So the first one I have right here, this one is called the Golden Goddess, and this is such a pretty palette. If you want a Charlotte Tilbury quad that is literally perfect for every single day, I think this is super, super nice. It's a beautiful sort of like golden look without being too gold. Like this shade in particular, it's like not really gold at all. Just make the most beautiful golden look without like being super gold. It's just like really neutral, and I don't know how to explain. It is just really beautiful. So I really like this pop shade as well because it is more of like a true gold, but it is a little bit deeper. And this is what that shade looks like. Like how pretty is that? I can wear that all day. So this one is one of my favorite like neutral everyday quads from Charlotte Tilbury that isn't like pink or peachy. I know Charlotte Tilbury does a lot of like peachy pink products, but this one is truly beautiful if you like a more neutral look. This one is called the Luxury Palette of Pops, and this is in the color story Celestial Eyes. I think this is super, super pretty, and all of these pop shades are beautiful. I even like wearing this like as a complete look. Normally with the Charlotte Tilbury quads, you would use one of the pop shades all over the lid, but with this one, you can make an entire like eye look with the shades because of the variety. And I think these are just absolutely stunning. I'm going to swatch them again because I just love swatching eyeshadows. We have one shade right there. Then let's swatch this one because it's super pretty. It is this beautiful rose gold shade there. We then have this one called Mesmerizing Maroon. This is a beautiful maroon color story like the name says. It's a beautiful quad and I really enjoy the formula. Let me just swatch that pop shade as well. Like look at this shade. Don't you just want to put that all over your lid? I absolutely love it. The next one right here is the oh so popular Pillow Talk palette. I know so many of you guys probably know this already, so I'm not going to show it any further, but it is really beautiful for like a soft pink look. And then lastly we have the Uptown Girl. This is probably not as like known as the other ones because this is much more of like a cool tone quad, but I really like this. I also really like the pop shade that goes with like these more gray tones. I think this palette is absolutely stunning. So that one is called the Uptown Girl. So those were all my Charlotte Tilbury palettes, and then I actually also have a trio from Glossier. The mirror keeps falling out, I don't know why, but this is what the Glossier Monochromes trio looks like, and this is just a beautiful sort of like cool toned taupe color story, and this is a very subtle palette. It's probably also the color story, but this is not going to be super noticeable in your eyes in terms of like the depth. It's actually more the shimmers that really make this palette worth it for me. They're really, really stunning, and I really like this color story. So that you can see right there, that is much more of like a cool toned taupe type shade, but it is really, really stunning. So I definitely want to try more of these Glossier trios, but so far I really like that one. This is actually the only midi palette from Natasha Denona that I still have in my collection. So these are one of the most popular eyeshadow palettes of like the moment, and when you think of luxury eyeshadow palettes, I know a lot of people think about the Natasha Denona palettes. I think this is a really good quality palette. As you can see, I have hit pan on the shade Andy, but I'm not really using this one anymore. I think I am going to keep it in my collection. I am going to be decluttering some of these palettes that are still here, but I first wanted to show you the palettes that I still really, really love. I think it's too used to really still give it to someone, but I also don't want to throw it away because I feel like that's kind of a waste. So I'm still holding on to this. Then I have this mini palette from Natasha Denona, and this one is called Mini Biba, and this is such a beautiful palette. This is my favorite palette from Natasha Denona that I have have tried. If you didn't know, I have tried more Natasha Denona palettes, but I didn't end up enjoying all of them. But this one I think is truly beautiful. That shimmer is super stunning, and all of these shades look really beautiful and peachy. So this one I would definitely recommend if you want to try something from Natasha Denona. I just also found this one right here. This is Mini Crush palette from the Valentine's Day collection of 2021, and this is really beautiful as well. I'm not really using this one as much, but it is still a really nice color story, so I am going to keep this. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I also just found one more Charlotte Tilbury quad. This one is the Bella Sophia, and I don't know how I could forget this one because this is really pretty. It's a beautiful warm toned color story. I know not everyone is a big fan of this formula. When I see reviews on this, some people say it's like a bit hard to work with. I personally don't really think it is. I think it's a really nice palette, and I love the color story and how it makes my eyes look. So that one is called the Bella Sophia. Now we have arrived at the portion of the eyeshadow palettes that I'm not really using as much anymore. So let's move these a little bit to the top. Some of these I truly thought I had already decluttered, but apparently I didn't. So I am going to be decluttering some of these in this video. So I'm going to start off with this one from Urban Decay. This is Naked Wild West. I've owned quite a few Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes, and this is the only one that is still in my collection. Not like the biggest fan of their formula. It isn't a bad product. It isn't a bad formula, but these don't really excite me anymore. So I think I am going to give this to someone who can still enjoy this because this really isn't that old. I think I'm going to give this to my mom. This one is the Zoeva Cocoa Blend eyeshadow palette, and this is really pretty, and it is a beautiful warm toned color story, but because I own so many like eyeshadow palettes, I just don't really get around using this type of product where it isn't really like a brand that a lot of people are interested in. At least that's what I'm assuming. So I think my mom would really like this because she usually really likes these types of warm toned shades. So that is this one from Zoeva. And then all 6 of these palettes I actually got from my boyfriend, and I am going to keep these because I mean they're gifts and I want to keep them because I want to like look at them, but they're not really palettes that I'm like still actively using on my channel, mostly because either they are just old and probably expired, and some of these, like for instance this one from Morphe, like there's just like not really point in me using this on my channel when this like isn't even available anymore, and it's not like something that I recently got. So I am going to keep all of these. So this one is from Too Faced, and it is their Pumpkin Spice eyeshadow palette, which was for the holidays, I think of 2020. And this is a really pretty palette. For some reason, I'm not always comfortable with using like products that are technically expired. Like I know these have like a 12-month shelf life. They still smell nice, so I can probably still use them. So maybe I should try that out because this one I still really like the color story. Let me know what you guys do with products that are technically past its shelf life. I don't know. I do really want to keep this, and I actually want to use this again because it is really pretty, and that is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice eyeshadow palette. So for now I am just going to put this with the palettes that I am still using, I think, but let me know if you guys think I should, if that's safe. Then one that I bought with my own money in 2019, but I was so excited I got my hands on. This is the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. This is so well loved. As you can see, I love this palette. This was like my first Too Faced palette, and I absolutely love this one so much. It still smells like gingerbread, but I think this was made in 2018, so I probably shouldn't use this as this is 5 years old, but this is a beautiful palette and I can't get rid of this one. Two ones that I'm also not going to use are these ones from ColourPop. This one is called Blush Crush, and then this one is called Strawberry Shake, and these are not bad palettes, and I really like the color story. I just find with ColourPop products, they expire quite fast in my opinion, so I'm not super comfortable with using these anymore as they are quite old as well. So I am going to keep them because I got them as a gift, but I'm not going to use them anymore. So this one right here is the Morphe 35i Icy Fantasy palette. It is a really pretty like pastel palette, but I just never really was a Morphe fan. I like this palette, but I never really got along with a lot of their products. So this one I am going to keep because again, it was a gift, but I don't really see myself really using this anymore. And then this one is the Passion in Paris palette. I am definitely going to keep this. This is from BH Cosmetics. The only reason I probably won't use it on my channel anymore is I'm not sure what like the thing with BH Cosmetics is. Are they still around? But this is a beautiful color story. I did do an entire review on this and I made 3 looks, so if If you want to see that video, and I'll try to link it down below, but this is a really pretty palette. I just am not sure if it's really relevant on my channel anymore. I like keep looking at all the pretty Pat McGrath shimmers on my hand. Another old one is this one from Anastasia. This is the only Anastasia palette that I have, and this one is called Riviera. I know this used to be so popular, I think in 2019 as well, and everyone was using this on YouTube, but now I barely hear anything about Anastasia anymore. Sometimes I do see people using their palettes, but not really a lot, and especially these like classic ones like this, like the Modern Renaissance, just were so popular. And it is just weird how a makeup brand used to be so popular and now there's just so many new brands. It's also fun because I love discovering new brands as well, but I know these Anastasia palettes were a staple in so many people's collections. So again, this one is going to go in the keep but not use pile. And then for the last one is this palette from R.E.M. Beauty. I thought I had decluttered this already, so I was very surprised that I did find this. I think I am going to keep this. I bought this last year when I was in London, and if you didn't know, I was really disappointed by these eyeshadow palettes. They smell pretty chemically in my opinion. They smell really cheap, and they weren't cheap. I think this was like 25 pounds when I bought it, so it's definitely not a cheap palette, and I don't think it should smell cheap, but it does in my opinion. So I also wasn't excited about the pigmentation of these. I thought they weren't like that pigmented. The shimmers are very lackluster, and you know what, I think I am just going to declutter this. Okay everyone, and this was it for my entire eyeshadow palette collection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the eyeshadow palettes I still have in my collection, and let me know what your eyeshadow palette collection looks like as well. If you did enjoy this video, I would absolutely love it if you gave it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you don't miss any of my videos. All of these things would help me so much with my channel, and I really appreciate it. But with that said, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. I really hope you have an amazing day, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Bye!